All right, her older sister is dating this guy, and her gut is just telling her he is not a good guy, so she wants us to do a background check. Lauren, what's going on with you?
Hi. Okay. My older sister, I'm just going to call her Megan for this. She got divorced a couple years ago, and she recently started dating again for like 6 months. And she's like met a few guys through the dating apps, so nothing is really sticking. She wasn't really into anyone until she met Joe. They've been going out for a couple of months, and like on the surface, he seems really nice. He seems sweet, you know. And according to him, he went to Duke, is the CEO of a successful international company, travels all over the world, does all this stuff for his job. And recently, yeah, he sounds fantastic.
Yeah, he's really beefing up the resume, Duke.
Right. But yes, it was his birthday not too long ago, and my sister like went all out for him. Had like a limo pick him up. She got him this fancy steak lobster dinner. You know, the works did all this for him. What else? He also claims that he has like luxury high-rise apartment, like here in the city. He's like only home for a couple days each week, which I think is kind of weird that he's always gone all the time. And she's never been to his apartment. And I've met him. I've met Joe. Like, he's come and hung out, and, you know, he puts on a good front. He's, like, charismatic. He talks. I don't know. He seems really cool. But something that's, like, in my gut is telling me that he's not being real. Like, there's something off about him that I just don't trust. And I heard you guys do, like, background checks for listeners. I was hoping you'd do one on Joe. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I feel almost bad doing this. But, I don't know. My sister has experienced enough hurt with a serious relationship and everything. Like, there's some infidelity, and I just really don't want her to get hurt again.
So 2 months of them being together, and he's not invited her back to his apartment or his place. Has she mentioned that to him, and has he given an excuse as to why?
She claims it's because, like, he's so busy, and it's just easier for some reason for them to hang out at her place. There's always, like, some new excuse.
Yeah, the only reason that strikes me as odd, because I always feel around like date 3 is when they're like luring you into their man cave. They're like, come back to my place, come back to my apartment. So the fact that he isn't, it doesn't sound like, if you're haven't been in the dating world for a while, it's like, oh, well, 2 months isn't like that crazy. I don't know. I always feel like the dudes are trying to lure you back.
Well, it's also weird if he lives in like a nice high-rise, luxury high-rise, because I was like, maybe he's really messy and doesn't want her to see his mess, but then you could afford a cleaner if you live in a luxury high-rise.
Yeah, well, I dated a guy this time last year, and he lived in, this is one of the reasons I kept going out with him, because he kept talking about this apartment that he had in like a neighborhood that I love. So, you know.
You was trying to make it to the apartment for other reasons.
I was trying to make.
Just wanted to see it.
I love this. I shop for real estate based on the school ratings, and Abby shops for real estate based on the dude.
No, it was the location of my favorite restaurant. So it was when I had just moved here. So you guys know Inman Park. Like I didn't have any area like that in my hometown. So when I would go to Inman Park, I'm like, oh my gosh, Barcelona Wine Bar's here. It's near the Beltline. It's amazing.
If you guys don't know, you're not familiar, it's a super expensive neighborhood in Atlanta that has like this really old school almost charm, like these beautiful Victorian houses and stuff like that, but it is expensive.
Yes, and it's very hip, very cool, very young, very central to a lot of places. So I'm like, was falling in love with the idea of it. I was like, oh, this is so great. When we have date night, I can just park at his place and we can bop around. But the problem is, I didn't like this man. So anyway,
is that old
minor issue.
What I'm trying to say is that when we would go out, he'd be like, let's go back to my place, and I'd be like, okay, he's got a nice rooftop, like why not? So I get where this is a little weird, and especially like if your sister has been through a lot, you want to look out for her. So do you feel like okay, so what are you hoping that we don't, or what are you hoping that we find on here? Like, is there one thing on the background check that would make you feel like it was enough to convince your sister that Joe is just not the guy for her?
I don't know if you guys can like find out where he lives. I don't know if that's too much, but I feel like that would be a big one.
Oh yeah, so like we can look up the address.
Anything.
If we do find some things that don't necessarily sit well with you, are you prepared to have that conversation with your sister?
Yeah, you know, I'd hate to have it, but I just want to protect her.
And she doesn't have any of these feelings that you have. This is all on you.
No, I think she's just smitten, you know. She's just not really seeing the red flags.
Yeah, she's still in that 90-day free trial love period.
Right.
Well, let's see if we're about to put an end to it.
Cassie, what's up?
I was just wondering, you haven't talked to her about any of your concerns? Is this like totally out of the blue for her?
I've kind of like, I don't know, I've asked some questions and she kind of gets upset. Like she gets mad at me like I'm being too much, I'm being too protective, and that's not letting her have fun.
So here's the good news. Tommy has reached out and done a background check on Joe. Tommy, have we found anything?
I would say out of all the background checks we've done, we found out the most stuff on this one. And Lauren, does your sister own running shoes?
Yes.
She's going to need them.
She wants us to do a background check to make sure that her sister is not going to end up getting duped in the end. And though I don't think they may be the best of answers, we have answers, I believe. Right there, right time.
Yes. So I have a friend in Florida that I worked with when I was on a morning show down there, and she works in a private investigator agency. And I had her search this guy, and I will say the name matched. But that is about it. It goes downhill from there.
God,
Wow. Okay.
So,
buckle up.
as far as his date of birth, keep in mind, Lauren said her sister took Joe out for his birthday recently. Now, I know that was on Saturday, June 1st. And according to our private investigator, Joe's birthday is December 28th.
What?
Quick question. If the birthdays don't match, how do you know it's the same person?
Oh, true.
Like maybe it's a different Joe with a different date of birth.
Well, it was...
And now to commercial break.
there were other things that matched
Got
up
it.
that we knew it was
Like
him.
a social security number? You got that too?
If that'll match, we got a problem.
I'm not going to give that out on the air. Education. You mentioned that he went to school somewhere. Where was that?
Duke?
There is no evidence that Joe graduated from or even attended Duke University.
What about like the community college near Duke?
Did he go to a game?
Funny you say that, Abby. The post-high school academic record that our PI could find was at a community college in Wake County, North Carolina.
Oh, no kidding.
Wake County is right next to Durham County, which is where Duke is located.
Oh, yeah, this is a common thing. Like when I went to Florida, a lot of people would say that they went to Florida, but really, and there's no shame in going to community college, but it was kind of like, all right, just say you go to Santa Fe. Like there's nothing wrong with community college, but they'd always say that they were students at UF.
Now, Lauren, one thing you can rest your mind about, we did check his criminal records, and there was no criminal history found.
Thank God. Okay.
Legal records.
Okay.
Joe evidently was the defendant in a small claims court case in North Carolina 3 years ago. There were no specific details our PI found, but small claims in North Carolina involves anything under $10,000.
So, meaning he owed somebody at least under $10K and they took him to court for it.
Or he took them. We didn't know. Or no, he was the defendant. So, yeah, I guess they took him.
And he allegedly has all this money.
Employment history. Now, you mentioned that he was what for a company? What was his position?
COO.
Right. There is no evidence that he is a COO for any company.
Oh, he's chief out of office.
According to what our PI found, Joe has worked the past couple of years for two major rideshare companies.
So he's like the COO of his Honda Civic?
Uber.
I guess so.
Oh my God, is his
sounds like
self-esteem so low he can't even make himself CEO of his own job? Oh.
Financial records, we did get his credit score, which rates as fair. It's 580, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I did some digging.
Driving record, he has a valid driver's license with no traffic violations on his record, which is good because,
That's his job.
yeah.
Yep.
Marriage records, no records indicate that he has ever been married. So that's good news.
Okay.
Property ownership. Now, describe where he said he lives again.
All he said he just has she didn't tell me the exact area. I just found somewhere in the city, and it's like a high-rise, fancy, big luxury apartment.
There is no record of evidence of Joe ever owning any property. Now, he may rent, but the address that we found that he currently resides at is in a suburb of Atlanta, and it is not a luxury high-rise. It is a duplex. He does not live in a luxury high-rise apartment. And as far as his social media presence, he is on Facebook and Instagram, or should I say Fakebook and Finsta, because all of his posts seem to support the fake lifestyle that he's telling your sister that he has.
Wow.
But according to everything we found, none of that is true. So our PI's conclusion was tell your sister to run from this guy.
Right.
Lauren,
Do you think that's enough information for you to take to your sister?
I mean, definitely. I'm just hoping she's not listening to this, that I can get to her first. But that's just awful. Like,
yeah, this is a tough one.
So bad. I don't even know where to begin to start talking to her.
Well, I think you're doing the right thing.
She's gonna be heartbroken.
Yeah, I understand, but it's better now than later, so that she doesn't have to continue to go through it. So you should be proud of yourself for trying to look out for your sister, and it sounds like you've come across enough information to really show her what you need to show her.
The Bert Show.